Well, we're here with Jackie Kashian, who's a stand-up comedian who's been doing that for the last 40 years on the road, touring 45 weeks a year. Her new special, Altercation, is out now, along with her two long-running podcasts, Dork and the Jackie and Laurie Show. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Got to get you back on the Dork Forest.
It's been a long time.
It has. You talked about how your dream was to write for wrestling.
That's right. And then I wrestled a match shortly after that. So we should revisit that subject maybe.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Have you written for wrestling now? I thought you had.
No, I have not. I hear it's a famously terrible job.
Right. Yeah. That's what I learned. You were like, you would like to do this because of the drama. You did not want to do it because it was famously not just poor paying, but also a frickin' grind.
Yeah.
What a great segue to our very first question. Poor paying, and a grind. Mm-hmm. So we ask everyone the same first question, Jackie. You can answer it to the degree of comfort that you would like. And it is, when is the first time you worried about making your monthly expenses?
But you just said the first time, though. And I don't know if you meant to say that. You said the first time you worried about your monthly expenses.
Oh, right.
Typically, we ask, what's the last time?
Last time. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Much different question. When is the last time you worried about making your monthly expenses?
Yeah, that is a very different question because that would be 2004.
2004.
I am 100 years old, and I am part of a duo, a partnership, where we got each other's back, and we moved in together in 2004. And so for the first 10 years of our relationship, he lapped me like twice financially. And so we did sort of prorated, like we split the bills in a very socialist prorated. I come from a long line of crystal clutchers in my friendships. And then the last 10 years, I've been doing slightly better than him, which is funny because he once said to me, a lot of guys would be intimidated if a woman made more money than they did. But I want you to know that I'm never going to have that problem. So you knock yourself out.
That is really funny and really cool. I do think that is a thing, unfortunately. It sometimes doesn't get expressed, like it just happens in a relationship, and then maybe the dude doesn't even fully understand that it's happening.
Every couple of years, he checks on like the big questions. I don't know anything about being in a relationship. Now I do, because I've been in a relationship with someone who checks in like every 2 or 3 years. He's like, "Are we happy living here? Wow. Did you like probably 5 years ago?" He was like, "So you've always wanted a dog. Do you want to get a dog?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I never thought to even bring it up." Yes. And so he was like, "You have to pull the trigger though, because we're going to do this dog thing together. I'm not having a dog all by myself." So,
so myself and Anna are both divorced. So by default, this is a divorce pod usually, but you're teaching us a very important lesson. Apparently in marriages, communication is important.
In divorces, it's important too.
That's true.
But it's
finite.
It's finite. Yeah, that's right. And sometimes you find yourself communicating more during a divorce than you did in your marriage, although that's usually a sign of why you got divorced. I feel like so we've said low-key, this is a divorce pod, yes. But I also think in some ways it is just a relationship podcast. Because
it's so beautiful.
I think we found out a lot about a relationship to money when we are in a relationship with someone else.
For sure. Like I was raised, like I didn't understand money. So all I knew when I was so little was that money was so important that my brother Russ was selling candy bars for Little League. And all I knew was that he needed to get rid of them and he needed money for them. Well, I was 4. And so I took his box of candy bars and sold them for $0.05 each.
Oh, that's not enough money.
And that is not enough money. And he had to make it up. And you should know that 50 years later, it still comes up.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah. Uh-huh.
Why were people buying your nickel candy bars and you're a 4-year-old? That doesn't like they had to know something
They
was
had
wrong
to
with the
know.
math there.
Or
Right.
they thought the math was just working out in their favor.
Wow.
That's the see to take advantage of a 4-year-old. I probably had a pretty good pitch though. I mean, I was raised with a pretty good patter, so the rap was good.
When you started making more money than your partner, did you prorate the bills the other way? Did you change the prorata?
We have, yeah.
Okay. I didn't imagine that would have been the answer.
Right.
Really?
I think it was
You actually-
it was
I thought
organic
with
though. We
Yeah.
didn't discuss it. It was just organic. Because I
I
mean
haven't-
the
I think I-
expectation was yeah.
No, yeah, I got the vibe that you did it. If the guy's going to come back to you out of nowhere and be like, "Do you want a dog?" Because you mentioned something about it a while ago, I thought for sure that's the kind of guy who's going to be like, very gently, now that you're making more, I think we should rediscuss.
He didn't
this."
even-
And not because, not I bet it's not even because he wants to pay less. It's more like we agreed on this equitable thing, and if we don't talk about it, it'll get weird.
He would definitely have had that conversation if we had ever, but I had the muscle memory of being a better person because I'm around him more. He's actually one of the best people. It's don't listen to this. It's so I'm talking him up, but it's actually when he takes the dogs for a walk because his mom lived with us for almost 3 years. And she brought a dog and a cat into this house. And this house is 966 square feet of glorious 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And 2 dogs, 1 cat, 3 people.
Okay. All right.
Stacked like cordwood, 65-inch television. She also brought into the mix. Very beautiful. And by the way, an incredibly good attitude. The
That would
three of
help.
us, we were on our best. I don't know if you've ever been on your best behavior for 3 years, but the
wow.
3 of us were, and it worked. We very few meltdowns. Yeah.
So I want to ask something leading into the next question. Was it because you were on the road a lot?
Yeah, that helped. Nothing wrong with that.
Did that help? Yeah.
It helped me. And but I still miss her, just because the other day it was I just wanted to sit and watch TV, and there was some crap television that we would just sit and watch and thoroughly enjoy. And he's willing to watch some crap TV, but he's got YouTube rabbit holes that he needs to go down. And he also he's a game designer, so he's writing a book. And so he's writing out a tabletop RPG book.
Wow.
And so he's trying to put it together this year. So because it's done, it just needs to be all put down. So he doesn't have time to sit around with me and watch The Taste of Murder.
Is that a real show? The Taste of Murder?
Yeah, it's so not good. It is. It's there's usually it's food porn and murder. I don't know if you know this about the British, but they'll sometimes send a guy to another country to solve murders in TV.
Well, part of murder mysteries is that they're tourism. At least that's what I like about a good mysteries. It's always a little bit of a tourism show as well.
Yeah. I definitely want to go to Capri, which is off the coast of Naples now. And I was like, but I think I only want to see it from a helicopter.
So I got to get to the question that
Sorry.
that we were circling around because you're on the road a lot because you tour, if our intro is correct, 40 something weeks of the year.
Right. Which defined as probably 2 to 4 days of that week.
Okay.
Yeah. So much like, I don't know if you've ever played hacky sack, but when you kick the ball, you tap your foot on the ground to rebalance yourself. And that's what I do. Back when I first started doing stand-up, I would do 6-week runs, 6 or 10-week runs, and never go home. That's not happening anymore. Emotionally, I don't think I can take it.
When you talked about the last time you were worried about your monthly expenses was 2004, and the imbalance in what you and your partner were making at that time, and then you fast forward and you start lapping him. What was the reason why your income spiked around that time? What gave you that boost?
Well, so my stand up, so I was featuring and headlining when we met. And then and now I'm just, I'm headlining. But actually, I think the big difference was I started featuring for a couple of big dogs, for a couple of fancy pants that pay well. Because there are very, very successful comics who have people feature for them and pay them poorly. And those people, there's a special ring of hell. And screw those folks. Anyway, but I worked for Brian Regan and Maria Bamford. Those are the two that I have featured for the most. And they both pay essentially low headline money to feature, plus air and hotel.
So I mean, I'm as we know each other, it's
Yeah.
because I'm adjacent to comedy, but I don't really fully understand how the business works. Is that typical that the headliners themselves sort of decide what the pay rate is for the people who are featuring for them?
No, that's at a much higher level. Certainly
Okay.
a higher level than myself. Like I would love to bring people with me, and I sometimes take a small hit because I can't pay that kind of money, but I try to bump. Like if somebody features for me, I try to give them a bump.
Hmm.
Especially if I brought them and they're not local. But what usually happens is it's a local MC and a local feature. The stand-up comedy industry has changed. The money has not, but the industry has changed so much in the last 45 years in the fact that when I started, they would put up, they would do hotel or what was called the comedy condo. It was never a condo. It was an apartment and it was gross. So, but you could stay there if you were the MC or the feature or the headliner. There was a place in Appleton, Wisconsin that all three stayed, and the headliner got the big room with the TV. The feature got the middle room, and then the MC got the room that didn't have a door. It just had beams. And
Well, at least I thought you were going to say they got the couch. So
and they oftentimes they would often get the couch, but now they don't even put up the features. They don't now. It's almost exclusively hotels, and it's only for the headliners, and so they don't put up the features. So I know features that are sleeping in their car. They're sleeping on couches of other comics, and you know what that does? That does not make for good comedy because that person is not well rested. And they certainly don't feel valued. I mean, they're just, but well rested is something like it's one of the reasons I don't stay in condos anymore. Because when I used to stay in condos, I would have to spend the first day cleaning the condo. I still remember this one year. I followed Todd Glass around the country. He was headlining, and he was there like the week before me to like 3 different weeks. And he is a clean freak. He loves to clean. So he would hire like a vacuum, like a wet vac, and he would clean all the kitchen cupboards. And I would go in and I'd be like, Todd was here. So great. I love Todd Glass.
You know, what you're saying reminds me of something that comes up a lot on the show, which is very much the myth of how misery creates art and how
you got to unlearn that. Yeah.
It's part of the experience of being a person who creates, like you got to be struggling and starving because that's how you get like the good stuff.
There's a wonderfully
comedy, especially. Hey, I've heard so
yeah.
many times, Jackie, is this not true that you need that it's always like the miserable people that are the funniest? What?
George Carlin was sober and died in his bed surrounded by his family. Everybody loves George Carlin, right? So Mitch Hedberg almost had to saw his own leg off probably 3 months before he died of an overdose. And his last shows, they were a fucking mess because he was on heroin. And there is, but it's in everything. You have to suffer. You have to be stacked like cordwood and somehow, and you have to do work for the exposure and for the good of the business and for, and you have to protect your sources with the power of the sun. You can't spread there's no transparency. Huge issue with transparency and stand-up comedy. is that because if you tell people what you made, then they're going to expect to make that too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. But the thing is if Maria Bamford tells me what she got for headlining at a comedy club, I don't expect to get what she got because she filled that room. We just did San Diego. Okay. We did, I featured, she headlined, three shows, 7:00, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Each show sold out. She got 14,000 and change for the weekend. I got, our deal is that she pays me low headline money, for a club. And then if she makes a great deal of money, she'll give me a bump. And so if it's a theater, I get 1,200 plus air and hotel. And if it's, a club, I get 1,200 for the week. So she sold out those three. So she gave me 3,600 and the club gave me 450. So I made $4,000. And that, to tell you those numbers is shocking to some. Like, she did an episode of the Dork Forest live at Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal. And we sat down, full auditorium. And she said, I brought my contract for Just for Laughs to read aloud.
Wow.
And her agent was in the back of the room going, no. And she was like, shall we? And because we have to tell each other how much you can make and how much you should at least be making, like to do 5 shows, feature pay is usually like $100 a show, but no travel, no hotel. That's $500.
And that's from the club?
That's from the club.
Okay.
And then if you get a bump from the headliner, it might be another $200 or $300. It might be $500. Depends.
I am so tired of the secrecy around numbers in my industry, which is journalism.
Oh, right.
And I actually, like, while you were saying that, I was like, I should do a fucking Blue Sky post that just lists what I get paid from every publication that I work for. Because I'm curious. I'm genuine. Like, I have one publication that I work for that they're like, this is the most we pay any freelancer. You're our highest paid freelancer. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, if I am, I think other people deserve to know that. Right?
Yes.
Like, and I think if I am their highest paid freelancer, it's because I'm really good and I've been doing this for a long time. But, if someone else is getting told you're our highest paid freelancer, then perhaps they should know what
Maria does this joke right now. She does this bit with somebody in the audience where she asks them how their salary was set.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, and so this proves my point that it's always set, let's say it together, arbitrary whim.
Yeah. Because
that's how it's set. What do you think the market can bear? What do you think that person will do the job for? That's why there are unions.
Yes, the famous comedian and journalism union.
And don't forget indie musicians.
Indie musician journalism and comedy union.
We're the trifecta.
We are the reps, all of us. Yes. What are we gonna?
I call this meeting to order.
Okay, actually, real question. What's the first? Okay. Let's pretend the money part is kind of settled. What's the first thing? What's the benefit that you want? I mean, probably healthcare, but
if
our union, our imaginary union, yeah,
pension.
Oh, good one.
Heck yeah,
I'm 100 years old. When I found out that the Writers Guild had a pension, and Lori Kilmartin, we have a podcast about stand-up, that she has a pension, I was like, oh, I may have made an error.
I found out like this. So as regular listeners may know, I write for Texas Highways, the official publication of the Texas Department of Transportation. I always like to say the full name. The employees there have pensions because they work for the state. So they're magazine employees with pensions.
Oh, sweet.
And I want my editor
pension.
there worked for the city of Austin, the Museum of the City of Austin, for the first part of his career. So his pension, he's had a pension and works since his 20s.
Right. So if you think about, like, let's look at Letterman. right? Letterman has a SAG pension and a WGA pension because he got writer's credit. He might even have a producer pension. And 30 years in the business, maybe 40, it's at least 12 or 15 grand a month.
Wow.
So when we all know that if someone gave you 2 grand a month, you'd be like, what? This is the best week. This is the best. If you could count on 2 grand a month, that'd be the great. And you wouldn't, and it was passive income to some extent, right? That's what pensions eventually are. It would relieve so much pressure in so many people's lives, right? And that's why Social Security is so important. And we pay into it. Nobody's doing anything for us, obviously. We're just getting the money back at the end of our lives, right? So
we wait until people are that old to tell them that you don't have to work, and that you are still valued. I think the pension is such a good idea. I'm not sure if I have anything else to offer. I mean, healthcare is kind of an obvious one.
Sure.
Although, you know what I would also demand if you got healthcare? Dental.
Yeah.
Oh. What about eyeballs?
All of it.
Yeah. I mean, and we all should get it. This is the thing. We're in the wrong country. We are like...
How do we turn our wrong country into the right country?
Well, we got to burn it to the ground.
Okay.
And then
apparently,
right. Because we were at a snail's pace fixing it from within. Because of course the founding fathers were very father-like, do as I say, not as I do. But they did write everything down. And so for 250 years, we're like, I think we're supposed to be doing this. And you're like, I don't want to. And you're like, it says. So, but yeah, I would, what would you guys want in the new Constitution? Like, what's not in the Constitution now? That would be like one of the first things that was said.
I would just want to make sure I'd want to have some sort of rule where every income level had to be represented in Congress.
Oh, interesting.
I would go.
That's
with,
real representation.
I would go. Yeah. I would go with the kind of representation we usually think about when they say representation, which is also across gender, sexual expression, and race. I would want, and maybe throw in everything. Like, I mean,
right. I don't want to sit in that committee. Is that okay if I don't have to run?
Well, if we're doing it, we might as well go. We might as well
right. No, it's.
Because what if more disabled people were in Congress?
Yeah.
Right? Like the disabled people that have been in Congress have actually done a whole fucking lot for disabled people that wasn't even like occurring to folks.
Like everybody's in their own fishbowl, man.
But you know what, Mike, I'm going to say is that the income thing would solve actually for a lot of the other kinds of representation.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it could generally, since like right now we have rich white guys, right? So as soon as you make it not rich white guys, you may still get a lot of white guys, right? But
different kinds of white guys, which is a start. That's a start.
I mean, I want the ERA. I want abortion legalized. I want access to like clean air. I want housing as a human right. Like it would be a lot. Actually, it could be dramatically shorter. That's the thing.
I'd like the second half of the 13th Amendment to set itself into the fire, which is that they can imprison people and enslave them because of some sort of crime. And the crime doesn't have to be anything. It's California prison. The private prison system is actually the thing that makes me wake up at night. So not happy.
I'm glad this turned into the territory that I'm super comfortable in. But
oh, good.
We should probably get back to art and commerce.
I got something. You talked a lot. You talked about how the industry is changing, and I know one of the ways that it's changed a lot is the economics of comedy specials. And you just put out a special, and how did you go about putting it together, and then what goals will it accomplish for you, you think?
Okay. So I have 3 what are called specials that are they that special? What would make them, they would make them really special is if someone had paid for them besides me.
That would be special.
That would make me feel special. And, but so I have I have probably 6 or 7 albums. I can't remember, but 3 of those albums are videos, are specials that are now, and I've brought them back to my own YouTube. The first one I did in 2014. And my home club is a club called Acme Comedy Company in Minneapolis. I'm there in June. Anyway, the club owner was like, "You have got to do a special," and I said, "What?" And he said, "I will pay for half of it." And so, and I know
which year was this one?
2014.
2014.
It's This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux is the name of the album, and it's the name of the special, and it was called that because my soul is in it, you guys. Anyway, because that's a Harry Potter joke. I was told that if I did it right, for the right cameras, that Netflix was buying content that was already done, and so if I gave them, this is done, will you? And it cost $20,000. Will you give me $40,000 without any residuals? It's a buyout when you sell a thing to Netflix, and they didn't want it. They were like, well, we're not actually buying anything right now. We're still saving up money to pay Chappelle $20 million, and so they did not do any of that.
Like a penny at a time,
right? And so the next one, I was like, I'm not doing another one. I'm not. So I regret that with the power of the sun, and not even having, because we live in a clip economy now, right? Reels and TikTok. That I didn't even get the regular footage. I still regret that, my Hero album. And the next one I paid for myself, also shot at Acme.
What year was that?
That was 21.
Okay.
That was Staycation. And Staycation, I'm in the middle of an inadvertent trilogy, you guys. Staycation came out right after lockdown, and I was supposed to record it right sort of during the beginning of lockdown. And so it was going to be called Altercation because I was angry. And but we were all home for 16 months. So I ended up losing a bunch of that material and writing a bunch of new material about being home. And so I called it Staycation. And now the pun has been released. So this current album is called Altercation because I'm still angry. And my name is still Cation. So whatever. The next one might be, we don't know what it'll be called. Abdication, Vindication, Fornication.
Vindication's pretty good.
Yeah, Vindication is great.
Location. Anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not going to happen for 3 years. But so 21, I did the next one. I paid for that one myself. Same crew, same club, same reason. Now Hulu's buying it. Now Veeps is buying it. Now whatever. Scorsese's going to buy it. Nobody bought it. Nobody bought it. And then this one, Altercation, I just knew that I needed to film it. I knew no one was going to buy it. I did it it's all the errors are mine. But I did take some, like the label who put out the album, they pitched in some money. I paid for it. We did it together, and yeah, nobody bought it. So all 3 of them are going to be on my YouTube channel, monetized with a glorious opportunity to see an ad for Crocs. And I don't know. For the last 4 years, Horcrux and Staycation have been on my previous label's YouTube channel, but I was like, give it back.
Yeah.
If it's not going to make any money, I want it to not make any money on my channel. And they kept some of the clips, and I was like, you can keep the ones that are in the compilations. And they were like, okay. And then I looked at the compilations, and one of the clips was 16 minutes.
Wow.
And I said, the show's only an hour. You can keep everything under 3 minutes. How about that? Just pull that out. Because it was a compilation where my 16 minutes, and then the other compilations, everybody else was like a minute or 2 minutes. Yeah. I was like, guys, this is me. Undo. So that's, that's, I don't know if I answered your question.
You did, but just real quick on that second one, because that was all your money. no club putting in money or no record label putting in money.
Yep.
Did that one ultimately pay for itself either in money or in eyeballs or any other quantifiable way?
That one, no. I think it pays for it in clips, and I really liked how it looked. I hired the right like I don't like my outfit in the new one. I don't mean to
That's real.
get
though.
weird about it.
Yeah, it's
It's
real.
right. Yeah, so I like how it looks a lot. The current one, everybody loves it. I've had we all know somebody who's really good at what, like somebody who's really good at what you do, but nobody cares.
Mhm.
But you admire them so much. And this is my friend Jim, and Jim said, "This is Altercation is the best work you've ever done."
Mhm.
And I was like, "What? Really? You think so?" And I mean, this is a guy who wrote a 6-minute bit about tar waffles, and where he was talking about the mundane work of factory work, pouring tar into waffle machines. It was nobody liked that joke except me, and I still remember it.
So it's always fascinating on the show. I guess I am speeding by the waffle tar.
Yeah, no. The
Joke.
silence is exactly what he received, and yeah.
I just in a car that has tar waffle tires. I am unfortunately just like slowly driving by, kind of shaking my head, being like, "Okay, all right,
Good effort. Keep
I
riding."
I may drive by again. I may like circle back and see what I see." But what you said, and I said, it's always interesting on the show, and one of the reasons why Mike and I are doing it together, and why we have such a pretty wide array of guests, is everybody's economy looks the same across all of these, which is to say there's the Dave Chappelle's, and then there's everyone working who's not a Dave Chappelle, like
Right.
the middle class. And now it actually looks like the economy in general, like what they call like the K-shape economy, K on its side, like which is to say opposite of a bell curve, right? There's no middle class.
I see.
There is a people who get paid. There's people who get paid a ton.
Yep.
Right. And there's actually, it's a small, I guess, a lowercase k upside down, because there's not that many of them. And then there's no middle class. And then there's the people who get paid very little, like, or have
Is it like a picnic table? Is it the K, like sort of propping up the 1%? Is that how the K, is that why they call it the K?
Well, they call it a K because the dip in the middle. It's because the disappearing middle class.
It's on its back.
Oh, it's on its back. Okay, I see.
Yeah. So, but it is, now that I think about it, a lowercase k, because, or for somehow, it's because there's not very much at the top, right? But unlike, see, what we used to call it is like the top is like the 99%, right? And we used to think of it, and then you slide down. Like there's the people who make a lot of money, there's not very many of them. And then like you have kind of a gradual slope to the people who aren't making very much money, but there's a lot of them, right? But now the slope is done. The slope doesn't exist. Like there is no middle class. I guess I just should have, rather than trying to explain the concept that I'm not even sure that I've completely got, I will just go. I'll just go with
5
no
of my
middle,
siblings
I'll
are in
I'll
some
just,
sort of econ.
I'll just go with there's the Dave Chappelle's and the I don't know, I can't
The
currently
rest of us.
they currently think of anyone else that's making $20 million for a special.
Seinfeld and Chris Rock.
Seinfeld and Chris Rock. And then I think this is true in the music industry too, right, Mike? Like there's people who are like selling out stadiums and making millions and millions of dollars. And then there's like a very few people who are kind of working class musicians who are like doing the thing, and like,
which honestly, and you're told to be grateful, and I am grateful that I make a living doing this, but I live in Los Angeles, and every 3 or 4 months I'll meet like a handful of new comics, and 2 or 3 of them will be incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why aren't you famous? And they're like, well, why aren't you famous? And I'm like, noted.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, because the old stand-up dream was, you go to LA and you get noticed and you do TV spots and then you get your own show or you end up in somebody's writer's room. Did you ever want to go in that direction, or did you ever even get close to doing all that type of stuff?
Well, like I said about the pension thing, probably 25 years ago, 20 odd years ago, I was offered some writer room work and I didn't want to.
Mm.
And I might have, my life would have been very different, but I would have a pension maybe, or I'd be really worried about getting writer work
Right.
because there's not a lot of writer work right now. But I love stand-up comedy so much. It's the thing where I write it. It's very, very frustrating now because I've just put out my hour. And so what I have probably a half an hour's worth of premises, not enough punchlines. Anyway, so I got to do the stuff that's on the album, and then I do the stuff that works, the new stuff that works, and then I have to work on the new stuff. But I like writing my own and working on my own material. I would love to do, I've done a little bit of voiceover work. I would love to do more of that because a lot of cartoons and a lot of voiceover stuff is hilarious.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I like acting. But I would have to also that is also a learned skill, Like I tried out for 2 different bit parts for Wonder Man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that show so much. It was
really
really a
good.
surprise given the whole Marvelness of.
Oh, it was the guy who played Wonder Man and
Oh, yeah.
Ben Kingsley. They were, he had chops right up Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley chewing up the scenery, but that guy beat for beat meeting him. And the Byron Bowers episode alone. Anyway, but I did 2 under 5s, right? Didn't get either of them. But when I was watching, and one of them I was like, oh, that woman got that because she is an actress. And and the other woman, I was like, I probably could have done that one. Anyway, but it is a learned skill, and you're going to get what you get to some extent. And I would like to act more, and I definitely want to do a lot more voiceover, just because it's really fun, and you could do it in your pajamas. And like I did this thing called Stranger Planet, was just about aliens, and I played one of the siblings. And
I wrote on that show.
Oh, that's it.
On Apple TV?
Yeah,
I wrote on that show.
Oh, Nate Pyle's show?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know Nate. I know Nate Pyle.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he was in the room with us. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And okay, I do remember that now. And so I got to do one, I think it was just one episode, and it was super fun. And I still follow him because that guy is a silly, hilarious man.
Yeah, his work is fantastic.
Yeah.
You bring up something that, and this isn't a question, but it's something I always have to remind myself of, because part of navigating all of these creative industries, given that everything is contracting, and there aren't a lot of opportunities to go around, you looked at a show that featured a part that you didn't get, and you were able to recognize that the person who did get it does the thing all the time. And I think that's such an important thing for creatives to keep in mind, because there's stuff I want to do in TV and film. But I do have to sit with myself and be real and be like, okay, well, I don't act every day. I make music every day. I do these other things every day. So that tool kit is not as developed as other things. So I can't be mad if I don't get stuff like that.
Right. And if there's anything less productive than bitterness, I don't know what it is.
Regret.
Kind of fruit
Regret
of the same
also,
tree, maybe.
Just like sitting here having like regret thoughts a lot lately, and having to do the thing where because it's a lot of it for me is I did not play it safe in my career. And
that's good though. I mean,
well, we were all comparing
neither did
ages before you logged on.
But think about it. I have a friend who's like, do you live indoors?
Mm.
Is there food in the fridge? Do you have a car with gas in it right now? You win today.
Yeah. No,
And people
that's
like me. People
one
love
of the
me.
things
Yeah.
about recovery that I have to remember. Unfortunately, I've got a few 24 under my belt, and so
Okay.
it gets harder for me to remember that when my head hits the pill hits the pill.
Don't hit the pill.
Maybe
I'm going to state the
I need to
obvious.
go to a
Don't do
meeting today.
pills. Exactly.
When my head hits the pillow sober, like I get a gold star, right?
Yeah.
Like that's and I say that in part because that is true. And when I can remember that, my life gets a lot better. And sometimes when I'm in the middle of being able to remember that, and this is a true statement, and I want all the normal people to hear it, I wonder, how do normal people get through the day? Like I get through the day, and at the end of it, I can be like, I experienced a goddamn miracle today. Like I should be drunk or dead or in an institution somewhere, and my head hit the pillow sober. So I know it was a good day. And so, Mike, my question for you.
Oh boy.
How do you know it was a good day?
I mean, it does go back to the things that Jackie just laid out. It really is
Yeah.
taking into account what I've been able to do, given that on paper none of this was ever supposed to happen, and it's not supposed to work. And my approach is not supposed to connect with anybody, and I'm able to make a living with it. And I have to always keep in mind how fortunate I am for that.
Yeah. But it's a learned skill, that sort of gratitude and that sort of ability to see yourself from like sort of a drone's eye or a bird's eye view where you can see what the good that is. Because inside my own body, I'm just like, oh, I'm so full of just occasionally full of regret and full of resentment and full of rage. And if I don't process all that stuff and realize, like I do a fair amount of writing, like, and if I write down everything I'm resentful of, some of it just goes away because I've written down the word the pool when I grew up. That's ridiculous. Please don't. And really, 100 years ago, when it was a dime to get into the pool, because I was raised in the Appalachians in the 30s, there's no reason to still be resentful about some of the things I've written down. Just like.
Well, there's actually a pro tip I can give around that, which when I remember to do it does work for me. So there's a thing in the program I'm in where if you resent somebody or something, you're supposed to, in the God version, pray for that, or
that person
or place or thing or whatever, person, or institution, and the trick of that is you get tired of it. Like you get tired of being reminded every day, like, okay, it's sort of like what you were saying, I think, like you get to this point where you're like, I am really sick of thinking of this thing that I resent, like, because if you formalize it, I think that makes a difference. Like you're saying, write it down. Like, because if it's just like living inside your head, I think it's really easy to keep those resentments and that bitterness. But if you sometimes have to be like, okay, I'm going to formally acknowledge that I'm resentful at the people that could go afford to go to the pool. Okay, day 2. I'm going to formally acknowledge that I'm resentful at the people that got to go to the pool. Like by day 4, you're kind of like, you know what? I'd rather just not think about this right now.
and it can dissipate. I will say that I had something comparable where it was I was scared, and it was they were acting against. It was like a weird lawsuit, and I was so mad and I was so scared. And my friend was like, you said exactly that. But she said, what I want you to do is I want you to pray for that person.
Yeah.
To get what you have always wanted. And the interesting thing about that was I got sick of praying for this dirtbag. But what I mostly found out in the process was what I wanted. Because every day I was like, Well, I hope he has some peace of mind and some serenity, and I hope he feels better, and I hope he's not scared, and I hope he's not, and he's not angry. And so I was like, you know what I would like? I would like some peace of mind and serenity. But it took I think I did it for probably 5 weeks every
Wow.
day until I realized that what I was praying for was for my, and that guy would never invite him over to the house, but I let it go, for the most part, not entirely, but
Yeah.
almost entirely.
You don't have to like them. That's actually real important part for me. You don't have to. You don't have to get to the point where you're like, and I've not only let go of this, but I think they're cool.
Yeah, the guy's a bummer.
I want to get back to your longevity and this Dork forest.
The Dork Forest.
The Dork Forest,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
did misread and mishear until this podcast started.
As dark?
Of course, yes.
Oh, yeah. Dork. Here's the scoop about
I just
the Dork
thought people
Forest.
were being weird about pronouncing it.
It's dork. It's like dork, like geek, like nerd.
Yeah.
And it's based on a joke I did from that was in my 2003, whatever, a long time ago, 1,000 years ago. I did a joke about how I was willing to hang out with almost anybody, but I drew a line right before the war reenactment guys. And you know how far into the Dork Forest you got to go to get to the war reenactment guys. And then I did one of those list jokes where you list all the different people that you might pass in the forest to get to them. And so when I started my podcast in 2006, I was like, who do I want to talk? And I wanted to talk to people about what they love. And I've never actually had a war reenactment guy on or person. But I used to love I used to love war history. I did the Civil War. I did the World War I. I did the French and Indian War. I did World War II. I was your dad. So there you go.
I'm curious about the hard line on war reenactment. Would you take fantasy war reenactment? Are there
Ren
any?
Fair?
Yeah, like a Ren Fair or lightsabers. Would you take?
I've had any number.
Would you take the stormtroopers on Star Wars?
I know,
very distinct.
I know some 501 guys. I know a guy named Obi-Shawn. He has played Obi-Wan Kenobi for the last 40 years and gone to and he has tricked out his car. If you Google Obi-Shawn, Shawn, his car, he has always taken a little tiny car and he's turned it into an X-Wing with an R2-D2 in the back. He's tricked it out. And then he drives to children's hospitals and lets the kids climb on it. And, and for 40 years he's done this. And now he plays old Luke too now. I went to Disneyland with him on May the 4th and he was completely wearing his outfit. He's never been on the Dork Forest. We've talked about it 100 times, but him just sweeping through Star Wars land, people stopped him and he knows everybody and he took pictures and yeah. So dorks are fine. Yeah.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up here, we are a podcast about how creators are navigating these rough economic times. So one of the most important things we do is to turn the show over to our guests to let people know how they can best support them in their endeavors. So if there's anything you want to plug, Jackie, now is the time.
Well, you should, if you go to JackieKashian.com or FamilyPetAncestry.com, which points to JackieKashian.com. Now, why did I buy FamilyPetAncestry.com? I bought it because I thought it was funny. And I bought it probably 15 years ago when I didn't know that pet DNA would be real one day. Because I genuinely, the joke was that I was like, did my cat come over on the Mayflower? FamilyPetAncestry.com.
That's hilarious.
Is Dogs of the American Revolution real? FamilyPetAncestry.com. So if you go to that, you will find both of my podcasts, The Jackie Laurie Show, The Dork Forest. You will find all of my specials, including a short special that I did during lockdown where I did 10 minutes of car jokes into the ass camera of a Mazda 6 in reverse.
Fantastic.
Called Looking Back. And me just looking into the license plate. Anyway, but support the podcast, buy the new album. yeah, if you buy the album, I'll get more money than if you just stream it. Or you could go to my YouTube and just put it on repeat 1,000 times. That'd be great, because that might work too. But all my albums are available on Spotify and Pandora and Amazon and Apple and all the bad guys, and also on Bandcamp. Bandcamp. There's two different Bandcamps. There's the one that has all of sort of it has a storytelling album that nobody knows about and a bunch of very old Dork forests with shitty audio. The first 3 years where it was just essentially a conference call, and but I think you could buy Altercation there, and I think Staycation are there from my new label, which is Blonde Medicine, which is great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here. Thank you for your transparency. That's something that's very important to this show. So we always appreciate when people are vulnerable and open about numbers and stuff. We think that's a big help for society.
And
yes,
I'll be calling you about our union rep meeting.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.